on the Custer Peak Road. We're heading up to the Custer Peak Fire Tower, um, which is just south of Brownsville. We're driving through actually a stand now that has been completely killed by Mountain Pine Beetle. And when we get up on top of the fire tower here, you'll be able to get a good panoramic view of the hills here and see some of the devastation from the Mountain Pine Beetle. One of the big concerns going forward, following infestation from the Mountain Pine Beetle, you can see all the trees along the road here are dead. The ones that are off color here are dead as well. That ponderosa pine in the Black Hills, after about 5 years of being attacked by Mountain Pine Beetle, start coming to the ground, and we have all these Forest Service roads and even county roads throughout the Black Hills. Black Hills is very heavily eroded. Once these trees start coming down, there's going to be not only a cost to maintain the infrastructure and keeping these roads open, but there's a safety issue. On a windy day, I'm not so sure I'd feel comfortable even driving up here. You'll have trees breaking a lot on windy days, so there's going to be a tremendous amount of money spent, and they're already doing that in Colorado and Wyoming, where the infestation has been ongoing for a couple years longer here than the Black Hills. They're spending millions of dollars just to clean up roadsides and campgrounds. So there's a tremendous pressure on the future costs of not controlling this epidemic. The best thing you could do is spend a little money now to control the Mountain Pine Beetle, rather than spending a lot of money later trying to clean up the mess that it leaves behind, and the fire hazard, and the risk to the infrastructure. As we get close to the top here, last summer or fall, the Forest Service actually had their fire crew up here, and they cleaned up a lot of the dead wood around the fire tower, to try to reduce the risk of actually a fire getting going right up here by the top of the peak. But as we look around, if you could just imagine in another 3 to 5 years, all these trees being in a tangled mess laying on the ground. Like I said, not just the problem of keeping roads open and protecting power lines. If a wildfire gets started in here, as a firefighter, you can't crawl through this stuff once it comes down in a tangled mess. It's a huge human safety problem for these firefighters. We get the park right here, then we'll walk up to the top, up into the fire tower. But you can see here that all these trees have been cut. This is what they did last summer. Cleaned up all the dead trees right here around the fire tower. Then they took the debris and they piled it into these piles, and most of them got burned. These are all these black spots on the ground are where they burned the piles last fall and winter.
So this is all pine beetle kill in here?
Mm-hmm. And you should be starting to see 3 different colors of attacked trees out there. There's the ones that are gray that have no needles on them anymore. Those are 3 years and older. They were killed by the mountain pine beetle. All their needles have fallen off. The red top trees were killed 2 summers ago, and they stay green for about 10 months. The needles, and the summer after they get attacked, these red tops were attacked in the summer of 2010. The following summer of 2011, they turn red, and then you're starting to be able to pick up a little bit out there on the landscape. It might be tough from here, but there's some yellowish looking crowns. Those trees that are turning yellow were the ones that were attacked last August, and they're just starting to fade into the red phase. So those trees right now that are kind of yellowish still have the mountain pine beetle under their bark, and they'll mature here over the next 2 months and fly sometime between middle of July and September. The peak flight in the Black Hills is around the first week of August usually. Yeah, that peak in the distance with the towers on it is Terry Peak. So we're looking north from here.
There's so much, it's hard to, I've never experienced this before. It's kind of overwhelming.
And what you can see here in the northern hills, looking around, we still have lots of green timber out there. It's not to the point where everything is lost. But the other thing to note is if you look carefully, there's brown spots all over the place, and over the next couple of years they're going to fill in. We're at a critical time. That hillside you're pointing to there is the same hillside that as we drove in I was telling you, the back side of it, they wouldn't let us in any of this stuff up in here. Actually this side too, because they were protecting goshawk nesting habitat, and they left the stands dense and didn't allow thinning in there to protect goshawk nesting habitat. And then in the end, the mountain pine beetle has killed almost all the live trees in there.